It's Nelson Bly, the foreclosure guy here again. Listen, normally I look around the web and I try to find something lighthearted to bring you, something somehow related to real estate or foreclosure. And in my web surfing today, I came across something that was anything but funny, but I still thought my viewers and my readers really would want to see it. It's an article from deepcapture.com, and it's about the problem we're in and the foreclosure situation and why it's happening. And it's not all the fault of the borrowers. And I know you've heard about this before, but a lot of us have no idea how this whole thing worked. So this guy did a nice comparison to fantasy football that I thought would make sense to you. He said, there weren't enough Americans with shitty credit taking out loans to satisfy investors' appetite for the end product. That's these credit default swap things. The firms used Eisman's bet to synthesize more of them. Here then was the difference between fantasy finance and fantasy football. When a fantasy player drafts Peyton Manning, he doesn't create a second Peyton Manning to inflate the league's stats. But when Eisman bought a credit default swap, he enabled Deutsche Bank to create another bond identical in every respect but one to the original. What was the only difference between the two bonds? One of them had no real homeowner, no borrower. The only asset backing the bond were the side bets that other investors were making. Eisman and others made these bets with firms like Goldman Sachs and Eastman. In effect, he was paying to Goldman the interest on a subprime mortgage. In fact, there was no mortgage at all. They weren't satisfied getting lots of unqualified borrowers to borrow money to buy a house they couldn't afford, Eisman says. They were creating them out of a whole cloth, 100 times over. So basically the story goes on, but basically what the quote is about is how we are in the foreclosure mess we are right now, partially, maybe even a great deal, thanks to the greedy Wall Street guys. And I don't mean the average Wall Street stockbroker. We all know one of them in our neighborhood or whatever. I'm talking about the big thinkers, the guys who are reinventing investing. The guys who went to the big Ivy League schools and think they're smarter than everyone else and think the law doesn't pertain to them. And that is who you can blame for the situation we're in now. You know, I said this wasn't going to be a funny moment today. Nothing really lighthearted about it at all. But I also want to talk to you about foreclosure defense. If you're going through a foreclosure, you need a great lawyer by your side. A lawyer that you can find, I'm confident, at Foreclosure Defense. If you call them, the number is 888-653-3815. You will find someone who's perfect for you, a perfect fit. You don't pay for the call. You don't pay for any of the advice you get from them on the phone. The call takes a couple minutes. That's all. 2 or 3 minutes on the phone, and you are now in contact with great local attorneys who understand the foreclosure market in your neighborhood. You cannot do better than calling Foreclosure Defense. All right, until next time, I'm Nelson Bly, the foreclosure guy.